I believe we're recording. So,
I checked the runtime on this thing a few times just because I found myself asking aloud, is it over yet? How much more do we have?
I did that too, multiple times, and then I thought,
Yes.
I didn't know David Ayer could make a movie worse than Suicide Squad. I guess I was wrong,
Yeah.
because then he made
I,
Tax Collector, and I hate life. Uh,
well,
so,
yeah.
a movie that's on early access on Amazon, that I guess got some buzz, I guess for existing.
Yeah, I guess for existing and being a new story for people to enjoy it, but as opposed to watching old stuff like I've been doing lately. But so I do understand that I am starved for new stories, but this isn't a good story.
This
It's
sucks so bad.
it's not well executed. It has the look and stereotypes and subject matter of
This looks and feels
of of Breaking Bad if it wasn't written as intelligently as Vince Gilligan wrote Breaking Bad.
I feel like that's being awfully generous, because really what I would say, this feels more like a senior college project by a white boy who drove by the hood one time and thought he knew everything about it. And thought he was so fucking clever about it. So goddamn clever. Like, oh, but every one of this fucking piece of shit movie has exactly one of two personalities. Either
They're all
tough guy
stereotypes.
either tough guy Latino gangster or whore. There's no in between.
Or damsel in distress who dies.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like the only exception is like angelic wife figure who is just there to die at the end.
I saw that coming a mile away.
Oh,
As
you know
soon
that coming
as
like the minute the opening credits rolled around, and you're just like dead. The minute they're sitting in bed, and she's like, "I had a dream that my children in the beach, and I couldn't reach them." I was like, dead. She's dead. She's a goner. Signed goddamn death warrant.
Wow, you're very perceptive.
I've seen enough of these garbage movies. This movie looks and feels like a bad Jesus movie, and I have a feeling that's originally pitched as.
It looks like in a movie from the mid 2000s, or no, not even a movie because it suffers from such pacing issues. It kind of looks like a failed television pilot from the early 2000s.
Can't even that. I feel like it's being generous. This movie has the same quality as I don't know, God's Not Dead. It's what I kept thinking of.
I didn't see that.
Good. Same cinematography as those cheap ass religious movies, and same acting quality. Like, the only reason this movie has any claim whatsoever is because Shia LaBeouf in it, and even he's doing the exact same personality everyone else is doing.
Yeah, and one of the things that really made me dislike it more was the fact that he dies right after giving his impassioned speech about how he's with the main character until his last breath. Okay, he's dead. He's gonna take his last breath.
And not to mention, everyone keeps hyping up these two main characters. By the way, those who don't know what this movie is, it's basically about this drug cartel, and these two guys named David and Creeper. Is Shia LaBeouf's character's name?
Shia LaBeouf's character.
Yeah, and we're just the most unassuming, skinny bone motherfuckers who everyone keeps trying to help over these badass dudes. I'm like, bitch, please. These guys are not intimidating in the slightest. They act like those little, those little tiny Joe Pesci kind of kids in the playground that keep I keep trying to chest bump the adults. What you got, bitch? What you got? Come on, let's go. And I'm like, dude, I can squash you. That's what Shia LaBeouf and this character look like in this movie. And
Shia LaBeouf's character, other character trait other than being a hired gun, is that he's on a special diet. he's on some sort of keto diet or something.
No, he's got that, and he's a man whore. Those are his 3 character traits.
Yes, and you don't even see him be a man whore. You just hear him talk about how he's a man whore.
Apparently,
I already got with all the girls on that block.
Mm-hmm. And what was I gonna say? Like, no more is that better exemplified. And like the opening, one of the opening speeches of this movie is when he goes to actually like collect money from one of the new like gang people or whatever, and he has a speech about like we're the tough guys, we collect the taxes from everyone. There's no money that goes around that we don't know about. And he's doing like in that tone you make when you want to sound tough but you really don't know how, where you emphasize every other syllable so you know I am super serious.
William Shatner method.
William Shatner is more like, I will emphasize random words and inflections in weird ways. Jeff Goldblum,
you're right.
Yeah, but then on top of that, in that same sentence where he's trying to act all tough, some guy coughs in the background, and Shia LaBeouf, without missing a fucking beat, runs at him like he's been waiting for this fucking moment with a fully charged drill, and just like points at him like, "Bitch, he coughed. Calm down." It's like, how dare you do like an involuntarily bodily function in my presence? Can you imagine me farted? Fucking hell. Sorry, I really hated this movie. I think you muted yourself.
I did. Sorry, I was given the Venice spritz.
Gotcha. So that right off the bat, I'm like, oh god, this is gonna be a long hour and a half, isn't it? And it was.
It was yes.
Long hour and a half.
It's barely an hour and a half. It's like just under, and it simultaneously felt too long, but like the story needed more time, but I didn't want to watch it more. That's not what I'm saying. It had terrible pacing issues.
I don't know if it needed more time. I think it just needed more variety. Because like everyone in this, like especially like every single character in this movie, anyone that is remotely ethnic is a gangster. Like every single one. There is none of them like unless you're a woman, in which case you're a whore. Unless you're the main character's wife, which in case you're the only one that gets like angelic figure, but you're just sacrificial lamb. And that's it. That's like the only 2 character traits we have, and everyone is exactly the same. The hero's the same, the villain is the same, the side character, the random characters only shown in one scene are all exactly the They're all doing that bullshit misogynistic personality trait. It's like, that's not interesting. How is this the same guy who wrote Training Day? Like, fucking hell.
Yeah, that movie was more gangster than this could ever be.
Like, this is so amateur hour. This is so cliche. This is so nothing. There's nothing to this garbage movie. And then it has, like, the nerve to... I'm sorry, I'll let you have the word in edgewise. But I've been holding this in since last night.
Why do you think I put it off until this afternoon?
I watched it last night and go like, how bad how can it be? And then I was like, oh, God. Fuck this movie. I mean,
yeah.
Now that we've been like lucky enough, you like kind of pick whatever we want to watch nowadays. It's been a while since I've watched a truly terrible film, so I guess maybe my tolerance is down a bit.
Glad I could help you out there, bud.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate your noble sacrifice. But you're the angelic figure in this story, so you're bound to die. Sorry.
Aww.
But anyway, and then they have this whole thing. This is where I'm convinced this is really Pits After Jesus movie. It's because the whole thing, like at the beginning of the movie, the main character has this big old thing about like God is like my other side. He's like helps my family, and he has a big long prayer scene with his entire family at the beginning, and he keeps bringing up God and stuff like that. And his whole thing, I guess if you want to call it an arc, I was trying to think. I could not think of a main arc this character went through, to be honest. Because it kind of starts and ends in the exact same place.
Yeah, very only sadder and deeper in the mud pile that he's built for himself.
But like the whole like inciting incident in this movie is that there's this new gangster in town. I guess it's a big deal down in Mexico, and he wants to take things over. But then if you can't think it's any more obvious that this really pitches a Jesus movie or it's trying to have some really hardcore, like, religious undertones, it's the fact there is a scene before the climax of the movie where he sacrifices a woman for Satan.
Yep.
He happens to be a literal devil worshiper. And in case it's obvious enough they're going like for God versus the devil thing, he fucking says it. He says it out loud. He says something like, I've got the devil watching over me. I'm Satan's warrior. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Who wrote this script? Oh, David Ayer wrote this script. The same guy who wrote Training Day. I don't know. Sorry. What are your thoughts?
Like I said, terrible pacing issues, a lot of stereotypes, and I know that Latin families have quinceañeras, so I understand why that was there, and it was an excuse to get the whole family together in a celebratory way. But kind of like what you were saying about how everybody's one note, well, they're all stereotypes. There's no depth or interest. I couldn't tell you anything about any of the kids except that his daughter lost a tooth. There was one part that I liked. A little bit. I'll get to that in a second. There was some obvious people attempt at foreshadowing when he's in his martial arts lesson and his coach is telling him to focus on technique and not speed. And then fast forward to almost the climax of the film when he's going up against the big bad devil worshipping Mexican, and he almost dies, and then flashbacks to that coaching session in his martial arts class, and then he turns the situation around and kills the guy and says, "I live for my family, I die for my family, I kill for my family," bam, and squashes his head with a sink. So that was maybe almost half a step above the rest of the storytelling of the movie. Even though it was sloppy and cheesy, at least it was somewhat of a feeble attempt. The one part that I liked was when it seemed like he was all on his own and seemed like everything was lost, and then he went to hit his contacts with the Bloods. Honestly, the Bloods was, in my opinion, the best part, because yes, again, it's a stereotype, but I felt like those actors conveyed more personality in their performances than the rest of the actors cast did, and I appreciated the turnaround instead of him just whimpering off into the Los Angeles smog. But yeah, that was pretty much the only thing that I liked about this movie was him teaming up with a faction of the Los Angeles Bloods, and then they both kick ass and they win, and he talks to his dad and whines about how he doesn't want this power, and then he looks right at the camera and roll credits and it's over, and it's like, okay, finally that's over.
I think that was my when it was over.
So I don't really have anything more constructive or flattering to say about this movie, just that it sucks.
It's so bad, and it's more like, again, it feels like it's tough. One of the main gang leaders is named Wizard, and I kept thinking of episode 1.
Which is the main character's dad.
Yeah, that's like the twist at the very end. Who's also goes to the religious symbolism, looking at the cross and saying like, "Forgive me," or something like that, or like, what the fuck kind of waste of bullshit time. Oh god, I fucking like. If anyone came into the scene, like a gangster scene, and called themselves Wizard, they'd be made fun of horribly and kicked out. Because, like, what are you going to say?
Yeah,
like, oh, that was
D&D
pretty Wizard. Like,
class.
okay, Annie. For those that get my Star Wars.
Yeah, Wizard is a D&D class, not a gangster name.
And this is my sidekick, Warlock. That's Rogue and Fighter. You will respect them.
You see, that sounds more entertaining.
Oh, motherfucker. I was going to say, I would actually watch a D&D film gangster movie. It's like, oh, wait, that exists. It was called Bright, and it was also made by David Ayer.
And it was also made available on a streaming service.
Yeah, because I guess you can't be taken seriously after Suicide Squad anymore. Because I guess Bright gets a sequel for some reason.
Lindsay Ellis had a pretty good essay talking about it, breaking it down a while back.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Thank God James Gunn take over the Suicide Squad movie. Thank God. Yeah, I don't really know much else I have to say about this movie. It's fucking terrible. I don't know why anyone was talking about this positively. It's dog shit, and there's nothing to it. It's as shallow as a 2-foot pond, you know?
It's it is vapid and materialistic in terms of its aesthetics. It's the characters don't have depth. They're all stereotypes. They're boring and one-dimensional.
The acting is atrocious. The cinematography is boring. The action sequences are boring. Like, a dialogue is like cringe-inducing. Like, there's nothing to like here. I don't get why this has a 70% audience approval rating.
Probably because they're so starved for something new.
Are we that desperate? I would rather rewatch Trolls 2.
That has done very well. But
it actually wasn't that bad.
I watched your review of it.
Yeah, you don't really expect a Trolls movie to go anti-colonialism, but there it is.
Well, Trolls had Anna Kendrick, and she's always awesome.
I love Anna Kendrick as the next guy, but she was not the winner of that movie. Yeah, fuck this movie.
Yeah, I guess it's a blessing that it was less than, or like I said, just barely under an hour and a half. At least we didn't have to put up with more of that.
At least it wasn't that expensive. At least they tried to charge like $20 for this piece of shit. Then I'd really do.
I think I rented it for like $6.99 or something.
Yeah, so did I. So at least it wasn't expensive. It's cheaper than a theater ticket.
Yeah.
So I'll take what I can get. But man, it was not worth it.
I rented an independent film from the website I showed you last week.
Oh yeah.
And that was a million times better than this, even if it didn't have big names in it. It was called St. Francis.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, I think I'd rather, or no, I don't think. I know I would definitely rather watch that again than this.
Well, I feel better now I've gotten my rage out there, and I'm going to go back to rewatching Hannibal. The show, not the movie. Because it is on Netflix, and it is still good.
What are you rewatching,
Hannibal
sorry?
TV show?
Yeah, that is on there. I'm probably going to go back to rewatching Boy Meets World on my friend's Disney Plus account.
There you go.
Yeah. 90s nostalgia. Happier times.
All right. So, you got any final thoughts for Tax Collector?
It's not worth the taxing cost of your time.
Ah, see what you did there. Yeah, fuck it. Just no. This is 10 cent, like in the bottom of the bargain bin kind of movie. Fuck it. Let it rot. Um,
Yes.
so I think we're gonna do a belated review for Train to Busan. I think tomorrow, because the sequel came out recently. We realized we never reviewed the first one. So
I think the first one is on Netflix right now.
I think so, yeah. And the sequel Peninsula just came out, I think, last week. So we're gonna try to cover that and the sequel. Um,
Double
not,
feature.
not, not at the same time. We're gonna do the Train to Busan first, then work over.
Oh, okay.
And then I think there's a new Disney Plus movie out, like Life of Ivan or something. Which
Yeah.
is about like a talking gorilla or something. And I think, well, New Mutants comes out I think this weekend, but we're probably not going to go see it because that would require going to a theater.
And there aren't any open in the South Bay
California
either.
in general. No. For good, no, like it's a good thing. Let's be clear.
Yes, it
Nobody should
is.
be going
I'm
to the
not.
movie theater right now.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about that. I'd rather be safe than not.
And then like I think there's also a Russell Crowe movie called Unhinged that also just came out. Although I don't know if I'm gonna watch that one just on principle because they not because it's a Russell Crowe movie, but because the advertising campaign for as another movie that wants to go back into theaters has been pretty unflattering towards the current events. So it kind of makes like, I don't really know if I want to support that. So that's a maybe.
Understandable.
Yeah. But yeah. Either way, the point is there's stuff to watch. We're gonna review it, so we're not just kind of pulling on whatever is on right now, kind of thing.
And if New Mutants actually does come out on Friday, that it being released is a victory in and of itself.
Yes and no. Yes, it's getting released. No, that it's picking the worst, like still a bad time to start releasing movies back in the theaters.
I'm just saying that based off of what I've heard, New Mutants has had a very long, storied road to getting released to audiences.
It has, but it's still not the right time. Especially since numbers are not going down, things have not gotten better, and we're still currently in an administration that is actively trying to pretend the problem doesn't exist. So it's like not a good time to reopen theaters. We all know it, and yet they're still pushing through with it anyway. And everyone's saying like, don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't encourage this shit. So we'll see. I mean,
good luck.
But that's all we got, guys. Thank you all for watching. See you later.
Bye.